Hello, my darlings, and welcome back to Radio Wasteland. I am your host, Chauncey Allworth, and this is my side host, Sean.
Hello.
How are you doing, Sean?
Pretty good. I'm excited for this topic this evening.
Yeah.
It's one that's very near and dear to my heart.
That was the same term I was going to use, yeah.
Yeah.
You might get some pointers.
I'm hoping.
Well, I find that, I think what you're doing is a little... you're
right.
You're trying to find some darkness in it, but I found that a lot of witches, not so dark.
They just say that for the... No, I'm really trying to heal people. I would never.
They're just trying not to get burned at the stake? Is that what you're trying to imply?
I think probably.
I don't know.
Maybe. I would assume most of them have tried some of the darker stuff.
You got to dabble before you can be the good guy.
Really, yeah. Well... Actually, that's kind of what was on the Facebook page of the person we're talking to.
Oh, really?
It's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, she talks about herself as a gray witch. Oh. That is to say, hey, what was the exact quote here? Something about, how can you heal if you can't hex and all that.
Right. You gotta...
That is hardcore. So, see, this is why I was excited about it, is because, it seems more metal.
Maybe like a surgeon, you got to be able to cut in there and know what's wrong in order to fix it.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I don't know how much sense that actually makes, but it's very cool.
Well, before we delve too deeply into that, I would like to tell you how pathetic of a man I am.
Okay, I'm listening.
So, Thanksgiving ends, and my wife comes pulling up yesterday with a tree on top of our car. Because we're all, we got to get the tree soon because there's like the national tree shortage.
Sure, I've heard of that.
Right, it's all over the news. It's big. It's important. So she pulls up with this tree, and, I take the tree down, and I got it in my front yard, and we got this measly little hacksaw, and you got to saw the bottom straight and, trim up some of the little sticks at the bottom.
Sure.
And, so there's this guy across from my apartment who is always sitting out there smoking. Which we always joke about that if there's a murder in my apartment, he's going to be the guy who saw it, because on all the murder shows, there's always the guy who saw the witness, and he's all, well, I was outside having a cigarette, and I saw this crazy business. Right? So here's this guy, and he's nice enough. I don't know. I haven't met him, but... and I'm out there sawing, and I hear this, hey, you need some help? And I'm just all... No, I'm good, and I'm sawing. And it's like wet tree, so I gotta chunk it out. I gotta saw a little bit and then come in from the top and take that chunk out and saw a little bit. And a few more minutes go by, and he's all, hey, you need some help? And I stand up, I'm all like sweaty, and my hair's just all in my face, and I'm all, nah, I'm cool. And I'm sawing, and he does it again. He's all, hey, and I start to think, man, do I just look absolutely pathetic out here, like, sawing this thing,
Yeah.
And I thought, like, I'm manly. I got a beard, Most of my shirts are plaid.
You look like you would be incredibly competent.
Totally, man, yeah. And so, like, I go to bed that night thinking, like, what a douche, Yeah. I'm like a man's man. I wake up this morning, and I am so sore. My thighs and my arms just from sawing that damn tree, man. I am just like, oh, my God.
Yeah.
So, apparently, to the guy across the way, if you're listening, yes, I needed some help.
Well, I've been in a similar situation a lot, and I can say this. Guys are annoying. Let me fail at this task. Just don't look at me.
Well, that was what I was bitching about when I went inside. I go to my wife, and I'm just all, man, because he's big and muscly. He's a big muscly dude. And I'm just all like, I appreciate the fact that he's all muscly, but how does he expect the rest of us to get muscly if we don't do our own work, You can't come along and use all your muscles for jobs that are supposed to be building my muscles.
Something like give a man a muscle and he'll saw a log for... I don't know.
That sounds absolutely X-rated, Sean, so we're moving on. All right, so this guest is somewhat serendipitous because last week I didn't even think about this. Mm-hmm. I didn't know who the guest was. My phone was dead. Thanksgiving was coming up. Blah, blah, blah. Lost.
Sure.
at the end and beginning of the show, we talked about how we needed to make a task for ourselves to try to find the real occult.
That's right.
And here we have somebody who might be able to help us and set us on this path.
Andrea just did it for us.
Yeah. So,
which is awesome. So,
I mean, maybe she can point us in the direction. Really, I aspire to not necessarily be a warlock. I don't know if that's a thing. I know so little about it. I don't know if, like, in this day and age of gender roles...
I feel like at one point, at least, witch was, like, a gender-neutral term.
Yeah, is warlock the boss? Is that not a gender thing?
I have no idea. I'd be comfortable being...
Would I be a man-witch? Is it like a nurse? A man-witch?
Man-witch, yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, totally. My problem is too much man-witch, not enough warlock. So, really what I want to be, it's not that I necessarily want to be a man-witch, but I want to be... like the Talamasca. You know what that is?
I have no idea.
You haven't read, like, The Witching Hour by Anne Rice or any of that stuff?
You're losing me. Sorry.
Okay, well, I want to be, like, a professor of the cult at the Miskatonic University.
Oh, right, okay, I get it. Like the Giles to...
Yeah, the Giles.
Buffy the Vampire Slayer?
Oh, I'm familiar, yeah.
I assumed I could make a reference safely to anything.
Yeah,
it's
just really sad that you didn't get the Talamasca, but you got Giles from Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Like
but it
Buffy
is very accurate, Only, in this post-Harvey Weinstein and Ray Moore world, I think I might pick a different group of people to hang out with than Giles chose.
Right, well, that's fair.
I might pick, you're about as young as I'm willing to go. Anybody younger than you, I immediately want to go, hey, do you need a sweater? You're going outside, or do you remember your sweater?
I don't know. If you wear enough tweed, people assume you're harmless. So.
Yeah, totally. If you wear enough tweed, people will think you're harmless.
Words to live by, right?
Yeah.
You can write that down, listeners.
I do have a tweed fedora, but it's a little small for my head.
No, the fedora cancels out any lack of sketchiness that tweed may provide.
Yeah, totally.
Just
anything that makes anybody think of Mambo number 5 is like immediately suspect.
Yeah,
Okay, so if you haven't figured it out from our conversation, our guest tonight is going to teach us about witchcraft. Her name is Lori Jackson. And this is a topic that Sean and I are pretty excited to dig into.
Yes.
So you are listening to Radio Wasteland. Come on back.
You remind me of the babe.
All right, welcome back to Radio Wasteland, and we're waiting for our guest, Lori Jackson, the Darklady, to call in. But in the meantime, what do you think of magic? Do you think, it seems like magic could be its own thing, or it could be a spiritual thing, or it could be like a science thing that we barely tapped into?
Right. I don't believe in magic in any, organized spiritual or religious sense, to be honest. And I feel like most witches you hear about have some sort of... Basically, it's religious. There's a large theoretical underpinning, and, there's lots of, Celtic imagery or what have you.
Well, our
Norse gods, whatever you want, there's always something behind it.
Our guest last week kind of talked about magic in this very Lovecraft fashion, this sort of mix between extraterrestrial, sort of ancient, sort of a combo, a transdimensional kind of, almost scientific.
Yeah, that was interesting.
It was almost a science that we didn't understand.
Right. Well, I do think there's a very good chance that we are living in something akin to the Matrix. So, I think, if there is any reality to it at all, it would be something like glitches or cheat codes, essentially.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
So I guess I would be in the arena of science we don't yet understand.
Arguably, I think everything is science that we just don't understand.
Right, yeah.
I personally even think religion
I would
is kind of
too.
science that we don't understand. Not to take the religion aspect away from it, but let's say I am a firm believer in God. I still
would
find that to be
theoretically, God, there would be something empirical there, even if we don't have enough evidence.
And I think some Christian religions kind of call it that anyway, don't they? Have like religious science and stuff
yeah,
like that?
I think they do.
And
I mean,
the science
like
of creationism science and
yeah.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm not coming down on it. I don't know. I mean, what's the difference, you know? All right, it looks like we got our guest here with us for this evening, Lori Jackson,
Saved
the
us
Dark
from
Lady.
A very controversial topic there.
We were about to get a little too controversial. Are you there with us, Lori?
Very controversial.
About to get a little too controversial. We got to have you turn down your radio. It's getting psychedelic.
Yeah, there you go. Got it. Sorry, guys.
No problem. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm doing good now. I got on.
So this is my typical, by the way, this is Chauncey, and this is my co-host, Sean.
Hello.
And,
hi there.
Hi. Our usual starting question we're going to use with you as well, and that is, how'd you get started in witchcraft?
Oh, my, that's a long story.
Well,
I've always
you got 45 minutes.
Well, I don't think it's that long.
All right.
Well, I knew when I was 5 years old. Let's see. I did a lot of wishcraft, which is you wish something and it comes to, it becomes what it is. Mm-hmm. And I was 5 years old and I was sitting underneath my swing set and I was playing with these rocks. And I thought I wanted to do something special because I had a really bad childhood. And I wanted to do something. It just kind of came to me that I needed to make these rocks into special rocks, right? Something beautiful. So I would put these rocks in a coffee can full of water and pour the water out and put the rocks back in and swirl them around and then put them in my special place. And I do that every day. And for about, a month, I'd say. And then one day I went there and they were different rocks. And they were pretty rocks. And that's when I first found out that magic was really real. So, from then on, I grew up in a kind of a Christian family. So I was really confused because I had these things where I would have visions or I would do something and it would happen, that kind of stuff, And I was confused, and then I met a gypsy girl when I was in junior high, I believe it was, and she taught me how to do tarot readings with just plain old playing cards, and taught me how to do some spells, some love spells, like on this guy that I really had a crush on, and it worked. And she taught me some other things, but then my family got wind of it and didn't want me to be friends with her anymore. So they kind of squelched that, and I really don't know what happened to her, but we were pretty good friends then. Then I went on, and I was into the Christian thing again, and finally, about 30 years ago, I decided, I know who I am, and I kind of came out of the closet and I told my family, and boy, they did not like that at all. They were not into it. And,
that's one thing that's always interesting to me is like, people act like they don't believe until you tell them that you're one, and then all of a sudden they have a problem with it. So it's like if they didn't believe in it, why would they have a problem with you doing it?
True, very true. Yeah, I never thought of that. Yeah.
So you already prompted a question here for me. This wishcraft leads me to ask the question, is this something that anybody can do, or is this something that somebody is maybe born with? I mean, why were you able to follow through with this wishcraft? Because, I wished for a lot of things when I was younger, but, none of them happened. And so, what's is there a difference there?
Boy, it's just something that I was able to do. I don't know. That's interesting because I haven't really thought about that.
Well, you don't have to know an answer to it. I mean, I think that there's a mystery with magic where, I mean, obviously you don't have to know the answer.
Yeah, it's just something that I know how to do, which is interesting.
So, so when you became, 30 years ago, you came out of the closet and said, "This is who I am," and you got some pushback from your family. You know, how did that go since then? I mean, this is something you're very open with now.
Well, most of the family they just kind of roll their eyes now and stuff, but that's okay. I don't mind that at all. I know who I am. I know what I want to do. And they can either like me or not, So my mom, she's still, every time I talk about it, but I have been talking to her about spirits because my little sister had died about a year and a half ago, and she's been having some interesting things happen at her house. And I know that my sister Vicky's around because this is something I do is I channel spirits and I talk to them, and that's something else that I do that's very, and I help people with that. So I'm helping her too, and she kind of believes, and then she kind of boo-hoos it, She thinks I'm going to hell. That's what the thing is.
So they are firm enough believers to believe that you're doing something bad for your
But see,
soul.
I was baptized twice in my life, so she figures, well, if I was baptized, then maybe I won't go to hell. So.
So but both times it didn't stick apparently.
No, it didn't, because I knew who I was. Yeah.
That's funny. So, we're coming up on break here, so I don't want to get too deep into anything. But you said that you communicate with spirits. So, if you can, in 3 minutes before we come up on the break, why witchcraft and not mediumship? Is there a difference, or are they somewhat synonymous?
Well, I kind of use them both together. I mean, I'm a witch, but I'm also a medium channeler. So I help people with their spirit problems, try to make them understand. Because what I feel is that we can live with the spirits. And just because you have a spirit in your house doesn't mean that they're evil. I don't believe in evil and demons. That's just something, because I've never met one. So it's like I try to help people that way, but I also help them with spells. And I'm a witch, and I love that word, witch. That's something that my mother can't even say. But she can say Wicca, which is really interesting.
Well, I think in the world of Christianity, witch can definitely mean something much more extreme than what Wicca pertains it to be,
Right.
Which in Christianity brings about the ideas of Satanism and stuff like
that.
Right,
and that has nothing to do with it. Even though there are Satanist witches, and there's also Christian witches. They're all in my group. I've got this huge group on Facebook, and I have all gamuts of the path. And so I work with everybody. And there's also non-witches in my group that are learning. So, it's very interesting.
We're coming up on our first break here. When we come back, we want to know about those different kinds of witches. You're listening to Lori Jackson, the Darklady, here on Radio Wasteland. All right, welcome back to Radio Wasteland. Let's get right back into it with our guest, Lori Jackson, the Darklady. So before the break, you were telling us that you have different types of witches. You got good witches and, satanic witches. But you yourself... is there some sort of, infighting going on? Because I'm guessing that you don't believe in Satan.
No, I don't. Nope.
So,
but my group is for anybody that wants to learn the craft. And so, Christian witches, satanic witches, green witches, hedge witches, kitchen witches, anybody is welcome. And even non-witches, if they want to learn the craft.
Okay, I got to know though. What's a kitchen witch? What's a kitchen witch?
Oh, they put their magic into what they make for meals.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, they're pretty interesting.
And then, so a hedge witch, is that what you said?
A hedge witch is one that uses lots of herbs and it's more nature.
Oh, that makes sense.
Than most.
So a hedge witch and a green witch might be kind of the same thing a little bit.
Kind of the same, yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. And then the gray witch, which I am, is one that is centered in the middle of dark and white, and we walk the line between that to stay balanced. And more of the Wiccan people are coming over to the gray side because they're seeing that you need that balance to have the power and to learn all that is, the craft, to pull from within yourself the power that you have, which comes from your heart. That's truly where your power of the witch comes from. I'll give you an idea what I see when I do my magic.
Okay.
You can see it from your hands, of course, but also like a Care Bear. You know what a Care Bear is?
I do.
Yeah.
Certainly.
But,
I have a daughter.
Like when they bring out the rainbow from their chest,
yeah,
it's kind of the way I envision my power coming out to go out and do what it needs to do. And that's what I'm trying to teach everybody that comes to my group, to use the power inside themselves.
Yeah, I think
that's where it comes from.
I think it's really interesting what you're saying about sort of the crossing the line between the light and the dark. I think a lot of us have sort of, because I'm very much a science guy, and I think a lot of people have grown up in this world thinking of good and bad. Right. Where, like, when I think of emotion, anger and sadness, and these aren't necessarily bad, even though they've been labeled bad. They're part of the human experience, and they're part of who we are. Right. And it's a matter of just learning to control them and be a part of them in a healthy way, and I feel that's kind of what you're saying about walking between the light and the dark.
Yeah, it's kind of the shadow part of yourself and the not. I've done a lot of shadow work on myself, and it's something that people should really do. So you delve deep inside of yourself, and I don't believe in demons and stuff like that, but you do kind of have fears that can be demons, and if you work on that, you become more rounded and more, more balanced. You want to be balanced in the craft. You don't want to be one-sided than the other. You need to have them both to be good at what you do.
So I think a lot of listeners are thinking, when they think of witches, they're thinking evil. They're putting. So is there any actual evil in witchcraft? Are there evil entities? Is there any evil, or is it really just sort of the person and their potentially bad choices?
That's you got it. I mean, not all dark witchcraft is bad. I mean, there is some that the baneful that you do, like the vinegar jars, and they can be really bad. Doing a bad hex or curse, that can be really bad. It all depends on the witch herself. If her heart is cold and cruel, then that's what she's going to project.
So we were talking before you came on, and we were trying to figure out, is witchcraft a science, or is it a religion? Or is magic its own thing entirely?
Magic is of nature, and it's always been there. You just have to know how to channel it. It's like electricity. It's not science, even though some probably would say it is, like alchemy and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But, Wicca is a religion now, because people have made it that. But No, witchcraft has always been. People have done it throughout the ages.
It sounds like you're saying maybe it's more like an art, or
that. Yeah, you could say that,
like singing or what have you.
Yeah, kind of like that. I would say that. And you have to practice. You have to study. It's just you just don't do it. It's something. But then sometimes there are witches that know already inside of them, and I'm one of them. I know, like, people come to me and I know what to do for them. I know what spell to give them to help them. And if that one doesn't work, then they come back and I give them another, and it's, how can I say it? Let's see.
Well, your focus... I'm sorry, go ahead.
Do you believe in reincarnation? Of course I do, because I'm a witch. I believe in past lives, and I've been a witch in most of my life. So what I'm getting is from my past experiences as a witch in my past lives. I am starting to learn to use that in my witchcraft besides studying and practicing.
And so it seems to me that you're a healer, and a big focus of what you're dealing with is trying to heal people, either healing them with their minds, with dealing with those who have passed on in grief, or actually healing them from hexes. So how often is it that you're undoing something that a negative witch did?
Well, you know what I've learned? I've been hexed and I've been cursed. And I even had a death spell put on me 5 years ago. A lot of what the witch does with that is really fear. Most of a hex or curse is the fear of the witch. And that itself makes you fearful. And you are the one that kind of makes it come true. Does that make sense?
Yeah, more of a self-fulfilling prophecy than something specific.
Like I have people coming to me, I've been cursed. I go, okay, what makes you think you're cursed, hon? And they tell me, this happened, that happened. And I'm thinking, that's just like everyday things that happen. You're not cursed, You got to understand that a lot of curses don't work,
Right.
It has to be a pretty strong witch to be able to really curse someone and do it right. I mean, you can say, I'm a witch and I cursed her, and a lot of it would be fear of that witch.
So, with a lot of arts and practices in this world, it's sort of easier to destroy than to create. Would you say that it's easier for a witch to do negative things as opposed to positive things?
Well, I suppose a lot of them would like to do that. I don't know why. My goal is to help people. I have, I use my dark goddesses. They came to me about 5 years ago and told me that this is what I need to do as Darklady. I need to teach, and I need to show people that being a witch is not bad. I'm trying to help people understand that we're good, that we're not all this evil things that people think we are. We're just normal people. And we just use hands-on herbs and a lot of other stuff.
Okay, well...
I don't do high magic. I don't like high magic because that's just too many rules, draw the circle, call down the watchtowers, all that kind of stuff. I just get a candle, get a puppet doll, do what I need, and send it off, and it always works. So that's what I do.
Okay,
I do low magic, as they call it.
Well, we're coming up on our final break here, and I still have a few more questions for you. You're listening to The Darklady, Lori Jackson, here on Radio Wasteland.
I know what you're thinking, but you won't get far.
All right, welcome back to Radio Wasteland with our guest, Lori Jackson, the Darklady.
Hi, guys.
So this is actually somewhat serendipitous that we have you on here. This is my second time I've used that word in the show, so that's a little
Yeah.
But
that's a big word.
Yeah. My mom was an English teacher, you know. I got to show a little appreciation. Sean and I, last week, we were talking about how because our guest last week was talking about occultism and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And we were wanting to find legitimate books about these things for us to read. Yeah. And earlier in the show, you were talking about how you study. Mm-hmm. Where would people like us find? And, you know, my day job is I build the internet, but, I don't know if I'm going to trust,
Right.
I want a book in my hands that I feel is ancient. Are these things out there, or has religion done away with them over years, or?
Well, I can give you some ideas of, some of the well-known, witch writers, like, Laura, the witch from Salem, Laura Cabot. Try her. She's very, very good. Let's see.
So I'm curious.
I have some others, but you just caught me off guard there.
That's all right. That's all right. I totally understand. It happens all the time.
I could tell you later, maybe.
Yeah.
I know a whole bunch of them. Silver Ravenhawk's another really good one. She's Wiccan though, but she's really good.
But are there ancient texts?
Ancient? Boy.
Well, because this has been going on.
I don't know.
Like when I think of I don't know, the
I know. I would love
to
open up a really old book of shadows that that nobody's ever seen, and just look at it and go, whoa, I want this book so bad, But I don't know. I guess you would have to do some research on rare books.
We are going to. That is our new challenge that we put forth to each other.
Yeah.
That we want to find this stuff.
Let me know, guys, because I would love to do it too. So.
Yeah. Well, we definitely will, and we will definitely, follow your group and find out a little bit more. While we're talking about it, how can people find your group?
You can just go to Facebook and just put in Darklady, and I have so many groups and pages. But the main witch group that I have almost 22,000 people in, wow. And it's called Darklady's Dark Realm. And come to it, and we have all paths, and I help so many people, and the people there help a lot too. I'm the main teacher there, but.
And do you have a lot of people, do you get social pushback? I'm assuming that you get a lot of pushback from religious groups.
Oh, yeah. They try to get in, but I'm very, very, very careful about who I let in. Right. I go to their site and I look and I go, are they there? Because I've let some Christians in because I'm an empath too, so I feel things. And so I can feel, I don't get it wrong very often. I'm about 99% right. But sometimes they get in there, and sometimes we change their mind about who we are, which is good because that's what my goddesses want me to do. They want me to teach the world that we're not this green-faced, wart on the nose with the hat and evil, because we're not. We're just, we're normal people that want to help people. We have a particular way of doing things that can help people.
Well, is there any truth to any of this evil history of witches, or?
No, not really. I don't think so. A witch, either dark or white, it's just a witch, and I don't think that they're bad in any way. A witch hexing, there's a reason why she's doing that. Something happened, that she had to protect herself or something else. And you just don't go out and hex people just for the heck of it. We don't do that. So
What about what do you think of the witch trials? Do you think that those were really witches, or do you think that was just people going crazy?
There may have been a few witches there, but I really think that it was more hysteria.
That's what I feel too. I definitely felt that as well. You know, because I'm not.
And I think a lot of people were killed for no reason.
Yeah, I'm not sure what my belief is on magic. You know, I'm pretty open, but I know that regardless of what the truth is, I'm sure that was a lot of just religious hysteria.
Oh yeah. It was a lot of bad things going on. A lot of people wanted somebody's land, so they, said, she's a witch. So they either burned her or hung her, or, and it was not good. The burning years was not a good time. Not for anybody.
So we've talked about books. Is there, for someone who just wants to get into the craft, as you put it, what would you recommend?
Silver
how do you start?
Ravenwolf.
What's that?
Silver Ravenwolf. She's really good. I would start with her.
I got to say, that's about the coolest name I've ever heard.
That is a very cool name. Yeah, that's promising.
Yeah. And you say that she's a good place for starting, and I'm guessing that you think that a good place for starting is Wishcraft.
Yeah. You know what Wishcraft is, really, seriously? It's kind of like The Secret. You know The Secret?
Yeah, I was kind of thinking that when you were talking about it earlier.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. It takes a while to happen, but it's kind of the same thing. It may go from full moon to a full moon cycle to get what you want. But if we were all like bewitched, or what do you call the three girls? Charmed, I guess it was.
Yeah.
We would all be in a lot of trouble because people would be just doing magic everywhere, and it doesn't work that way.
I see. Well, we're coming up on the end of the show here. We're coming up on the end of the show here. Maybe we can run over how people can find out more about you again, so our audience can look you up.
Well, you can. I have a school, and I also have a magazine, Darklady's Witch magazine, which is going to be coming out. And the school is called Darkladys School of Witchery, and you can go there. Then I have so much, guys. I have so many followers now. It's just amazing. I just love it so much. And thanks to the goddesses, they've really helped. It's really amazing. I have 3 questions that they have to fill out before they can get into the group. And it's usually, I was drawn to you, or I heard a whisper that said that I need to come to your group, or something like that. And I know it's my goddesses bringing them to me so I can help them learn. And it's really quite interesting how this has all come about.
Well, thank you very much for being on our show, and hopefully people who want to learn now know where to go. Check out, it seems like the easiest way to find you is to search for Darklady on Facebook.
You got it. Search for Darklady on Facebook, and I'll just come up. So,
all right.
And I have a ton of stuff. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you very much. You've been listening to Lori Jackson, the Darklady, here on Radio Wasteland. Thanks for checking us out. All right, welcome back to Radio Wasteland, and we were just listening to our guest, Lori Jackson, the Darklady.
Yes, we were. Very intently.
Yeah. Because it was so perfect, I feel that even though we may not have a linear path to get started on, I feel that we got some inspiration to try to.
Yeah, exactly.
And I really feel that this should be a goal of ours to... Because it's something we're both interested in, and something I've always wondered,
We have got to find this world's Necronomicon that we can recommend to our listeners, and hopefully bring about the downfall of civilization when people, discover these dark secrets and take them into their own lives.
Right. And so, as has been discussed on here a lot of times, I personally am not Christian. You're not Christian.
No.
But we live in a fairly conservative town, and a lot of our friends are Christian.
Yes.
Or at least people we work with, people we know, and people we respect.
Yes.
Are Christian.
Yes,
and
this is all true so far.
So far, so good. So I have this... I guess what I'm trying to get at is I don't believe in Christianity, yet I respect these people in their belief. And so to me, the belief in witchcraft or UFOs or ancient occult, it's all the same to me.
Right.
It's
fair game.
It's fair game. So I have this view of Christians that they either know something I don't, or they're all bat blank crazy.
Yeah, I don't think I know that many Christians who are like hardcore religious enough that they would have a problem with witchcraft. I think most of them are more in the category of like, okay, that's silly.
Yeah, no, but that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that Christians who feel that they have a personal relationship with God.
That is true.
And so they either do or they're crazy.
Yeah, I mean, that is true. But I think if our show has proved anything, it's that everyone is crazy.
Yeah.
We talk about all of these different topics, and if you listen to our show for a year, chances are you'll hear most of our guests and say that's ridiculous, and you'll hear one of them and be like, they have some good points.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. During the break, I was talking to Jared, our producer here, and he, I was, as is often the case, our guest makes me think of a book.
Right.
And I think we've talked, and you haven't read much Clive Barker.
I have not, sadly.
Okay, well, there's this book by Clive Barker called The Great and Secret Show.
Okay.
Which starts, I won't give away any of the plot, but it starts out with this guy working in the dead letter office. You know what that is?
Yes.
And as he's going through the dead letters, he starts to stumble across this concept of what he calls the art. And starts to put together that there is some secret art out there. Mm-hmm. And that he wants to find what it is. And so our talking about trying to do this makes me think of the art, and that we're trying to find the art.
That is what we're trying to do. We talk to so many different people who believe so many different things, and a lot of them are wildly different. And there's always inconsistencies between what one believes and what another believes. But I'm sure you notice there's plenty of commonalities too.
There is.
Like just taking everything we've heard from the paranormal societies types alone, what you get is a fairly consistent picture of hauntings and that kind of thing.
Oh, absolutely.
You add in The Exorcist, and you get a fairly consistent picture of quote-unquote demons.
Over the years, I have slowly invented my own religion.
Sure.
And my own religion that I've sort of invented is that through art and creation and sort of open-mindedness, that people tap into the truth, and that nobody knows the truth entirely, but you could write a whole album, and within that entire album there might be one line that is the truth. And you could write an entire book, and there might be one line in chapter 15 that's the truth, and that we all stumble across the truth. But nobody knows the truth wholly and fully.
Yeah. I think that's true.
Now that I put this back to back, I think I might have got this from the art. I think my religion might be the art from The Great and Secret Show.
Yeah. Well, it's either that or we're all crazy.
All right. So, listeners, if you're out there, we want to know, how do we find out about the occult? You're listening to Radio Wasteland. Come on back. We got the news. All right. Welcome back to Radio Wasteland, and we got the news. Sean, what do you got for us today?
That's right. Pretty interesting story. Roughly once a year, you see in the news something like, have we finally found proof of an alien civilization? Mm-hmm. And these things are always credible, well, pretty much, but we're talking about mainstream science here. So, last year it was this star's light is being obscured in a really weird way.
Right.
You probably remember that.
What is that thing called?
I
forget.
I don't remember. The star...
The suspicion was that there was some sort of...
an alien megastructure.
Megastructure encircling the star that was basically possibly feeding off the energy of the star.
Exactly. Like a Dyson sphere.
That's it. That's the word.
Right. And people... we don't know if it's a Dyson sphere specifically or anything like that. Now, as time went on, more prosaic explanations did carry the day. And it sounds like, at this point, most people really don't think it's an alien structure. They think it's, an odd field of debris.
Right. Something not fun.
Well, exactly.
Right.
But, roughly once a year you see something like this, and I think, just this week we've gotten another one that I would put on a similar level. It's, it's something peculiar.
All right, let's hear it.
And I am talking about a study, rather, excitingly called Discovery of Peculiar Periodic Spectral Modulations in a Small Fraction of Solar-Type Stars.
Seems easy to understand.
Yeah, which I'm sure grabs your interest right off the bat, but it was published in a reputable journal, Publications of the Astronomical Society of the Pacific, and basically what it says is they took a recent, survey of basically all the stars in the night sky, and they noticed that there was an odd pulsed radio signal coming, or not radio signal, but just a signal of light coming from 234 different stars. And essentially they don't know the cause, but interestingly enough, the signal matches almost exactly what one of the authors theorized an alien radio signal might sound like, in a paper several years ago. So this is being greeted with a little bit of skepticism and a few grains of salt, even from the authors themselves. They're saying basically, this is weird. It looks like we should look into this more, because, hey, maybe. Which is exactly what you hear in every one of these times. But, one of these times it's gonna be it.
It's bound to be true.
Right. And this is what it's gonna look like. It's gonna look like, a random article that you see and it's like, I don't want to get my hopes up because it's just some silly little thing. And then 6 months later, instead of someone saying, hey, this was never true, you'll hear someone saying, that's still weird.
Right.
And it'll keep going from there. So I like to keep my eyes on these kinds of things because it's how it starts.
It is how it starts. And I mean, I've said it, I don't know how many episodes we've had here, 40-something, I've said it 40-something times, that the one thing that I believe wholeheartedly is that there is life out there.
Yeah.
The likelihood. I mean, come on.
Yeah. Well, I quite agree on. I mean, we're trying to figure out about a vast universe, and all we've really got to work with is these distant pinpricks of light.
Right.
And, it's hard to see, what kind of small-scale phenomena is resulting in what we're actually seeing. It's hard to piece all that evidence together, but...
Yeah, well, it was just on the news the other day, on the CBS, ABC, NBC News, whatever, I don't know. Mm-hmm. Lester Holt. I like Lester. They were covering that they found a new collection of exoplanets where there were 7 Earth-like planets, rock planets in the Goldilocks zone around a single star.
Yeah, in the last, 5 years, maybe even less, we've discovered a handful after handful of potentially habitable planets. And, that's actually another thing that I wanted to mention about these stars, is that they were all... the emanations were all in the spectrum of light that is common around stars of our size and type.
Oh.
So that was just, one more thing that made them think, these are coming from stars that are very like ours.
Right. Well, here's hoping.
The truth is out there.
The truth is out there. You're listening to Radio Wasteland, and I can tell you, you're not alone.
Hate to see you hungry, love to see you starve. hate the beauty in you. I'd hate for